if you were in a relationship with Shari and you said it was a business arrangement. That's in the paperwork too, verbatim.
You such a liar.
No, I'm not.
You were
in a relationship.
You won't believe how fast everything changed in the world of love and marriage Huntsville. 1 minute, it felt like the same old cycle, tension, shade, and unfinished drama. And the next, everything flipped in a way no one expected. Because this time, it wasn't just another argument. This time, the truth started coming out. Martell Holt, who has spent years trying to control his image, suddenly found himself in a position where he couldn't talk his way out. And the person who put him there was Shari, the same woman who once stood by his side, supported him, and built a life with him before it all fell apart. But here's what made it even more powerful. Melody didn't come in loud or messy. She didn't create chaos like people expected. Instead, she handled everything calmly, smartly, and with purpose. And that's exactly why it hit so hard. By the time people realized what was happening, it was already too late for Martell to stop it. What happened next left everyone shocked. It pushed Martell into facing a truth he had been avoiding for years. Fans were left stunned, divided, and asking the same question. Was this finally real honesty, or something he never meant to admit? To really understand how things reached this point, you have to go back. Back to when Martell and Melody were once seen as one of the strongest couples in the spotlight.
See all them pictures right there? These are all pictures this man has sent me this year randomly to my phone. The reason it's titled This Is Why, because this is why he's misbehaving, because he ain't got this no more.
Right. Not fair for you.
It's not fair. I know. That's my point. I think the system's jacked up because they make women have to stay in environments. Huntsville is depressing for me. And I mean that. I hate being in Huntsville, and everybody in this room knows that I hate being in Huntsville. I hate it. It's such a dark shadow. Some jacked up. Everybody in here has heard me talk about getting out of Huntsville because I hate being there. That's the only reason I'm still there, because I can't just get my kids to leave.
On the outside, everything looked perfect. They had a strong brand, a beautiful family, and a powerful presence on reality TV that people couldn't ignore. Together, they looked like the definition of success, partnership, and ambition. But behind the scenes, things were not as perfect as they seemed. Viewers who paid close attention started noticing small changes. There was tension, unfinished conversations, and arguments that never really ended. They were just paused. Melody, especially, began to shift. At first, it was subtle. Her tone changed, her energy felt different. She was no longer quick to defend Martell, and she stopped trying to smooth things over just to keep the peace. Even when she didn't say much, her words started to carry more meaning. It felt like she knew something and was just waiting for the right time. At the same time, Martell continued to present himself as calm, confident, and in control. No matter what rumors came up, he always found a way to redirect the situation. He spoke with certainty and often framed things in a way that kept him from looking like the problem. And for a while, people believed it. But what many didn't realize was that Melody had changed her approach. She was no longer just reacting, she was observing. She was paying attention to patterns, noticing things that didn't add up, and quietly putting the pieces together. Instead of addressing everything at once, she chose to move carefully. She picked her moments, knowing when to speak and when to stay silent. And that silence wasn't weakness, it was strategy. Over time, even her social media started to reflect that change. Her posts became more intentional, and her captions felt deeper. Even when she said very little, it felt like she was saying a lot. Fans started to notice. They began connecting dots, going back to old moments, and questioning things they hadn't before. Slowly, a different story started to form, one that didn't match the image Martell had been trying to maintain. But still, nothing was fully confirmed until everything shifted. Because what happened next wasn't random or emotional, it was planned. Melody made a decision, and she knew it was time. When she finally made her move, she didn't bring chaos, she brought clarity. Instead of raising her voice or creating drama, she revealed the truth step by step. She stayed calm, didn't rush, and didn't over-explain. She simply let the facts speak for themselves, and that's when everything started to fall apart. At first, people didn't know what to think. Then they got curious, and before long, they were fully paying attention. Because with every new detail she shared, it became harder to ignore what was coming out. The information wasn't vague or based on rumors. It was clear, specific, and controlled, in a way that made her look even more credible. And just like that, Martell found himself in a position he wasn't used to. For once, he wasn't in control of the story. He wasn't leading the conversation or shaping how things looked. Instead, he was reacting, and that changed everything. As more people started talking, the pressure around him kept growing. Fans wanted answers, supporters began asking questions. Even those who once defended him started stepping back, unsure of what to believe. Every move he made was being watched closely, and every word he said was being picked apart. The strategies that used to work for him, staying calm, speaking with confidence, choosing his words carefully, were no longer enough, because Melody had already shifted the entire conversation. People were no longer asking if the story was true. Now they were asking why he hadn't responded, and that shift made all the difference. Then came the moment that no one could ignore. Martell went live. There was no big announcement, no perfect setup, just him, in real time, dealing with a situation that had grown beyond his control. Right away, you could feel it. The hesitation, the tension, the pressure of everything building up. This wasn't the same confident energy people were used to seeing. This felt different. This was a moment where everything stood still, like he was at a turning point, knowing that whatever he said next would change everything. And then he finally spoke. Not in the clear, direct way people expected, but just enough to show that what Melody had been hinting at was not just talk. It had truth behind it. The reaction was immediate. Social media went crazy. Clips started spreading everywhere, and people kept replaying his words again and again, trying to understand exactly what he meant, how he said it, and why he chose that moment to speak. Some people saw it as honesty, while others felt like he had no choice but to say something. But no matter how people saw it, one thing was obvious. He could no longer stay silent. And that changed everything. Because now, it wasn't just about what was said in that moment. It was about everything that had been hidden before. People started looking back at old moments differently. Past interviews, arguments, and small situations suddenly felt much more important. It was like watching the same story again, but this time with a completely new understanding. For Melody, the situation was not simple. On one side, there was a sense of validation. The truth she had been holding on to was finally out, and people could now see what she had been dealing with behind the scenes. But at the same time, it wasn't something to celebrate, because when something like this comes out, it doesn't just affect one person. It affects everyone connected to it, including family, children, and shared history. Even with all the attention, Melody stayed calm and controlled. She didn't rush to react or go back and forth online. She didn't try to turn it into more drama. Instead, she focused on moving forward and protecting her peace. But what made this situation even deeper was that it wasn't just about one moment or one confession. It was about control. For a long time, Martell had been seen as someone who knew how to manage his image, handle tough situations, and present himself in a way that kept him looking a certain way. And now, that control was starting to slip. This time, the control slipped, and once it did, there was no way to get it back the same way again. The emotional weight of everything goes far beyond what people see online. For Martell, this moment is not just about public pressure. It's a turning point, a moment where he has to face not only what others now know, but also what he may have been avoiding within himself. And that's not easy, because when the truth comes out under pressure, it doesn't feel freeing. It feels exposing. It can feel like something has been taken from you, even if it was never yours to hide forever. Now he has to move forward in a world where people see him differently. Every action he takes from here will be viewed through a new perspective. That is a heavy reality to carry. For Melody, the situation is just as complex. She didn't just reveal the truth. She closed a chapter of her life in a very public way. And while that takes strength, it also comes with emotional weight. Because no matter what happened, this is still someone she once loved, someone she built a life with, and someone she is still connected to through family. That kind of history doesn't just disappear. It stays with you. It shapes how you trust, how you heal, and how you move forward. Even through all of this, Melody showed strong control and purpose. She didn't get lost in the chaos. She didn't let emotions take over her decisions. She stayed calm and focused, and in moments like this, that kind of composure speaks volumes. As things begin to settle, one big question remains. What happens next? Because moments like this don't just fade away. They change everything. For Martell, moving forward will take more than just explanations. It will take honesty, consistency, and a real effort to face things he may not have been ready to deal with before. And that kind of growth doesn't happen overnight. For Melody, her path seems clearer. She is focused on protecting her peace, her family, and her future. But even with that clarity, the journey ahead won't be easy. Healing takes time, it takes space, and it takes strength that people don't always see. For the audience watching all of this, there is a deeper message. Beyond the drama, beyond the headlines and opinions, this is really a story about truth. What happens when it is hidden, what happens when it comes out, and the cost that comes with both. In the end, this wasn't just another dramatic moment. It was a turning point. It changed how people see Martell, how they understand Melody, and how they look at everything that happened before. And while the conversation will continue and opinions will keep changing, one thing is clear. The truth always finds its way out. And when it does, it doesn't wait, it changes everything.